It is called Newsbreak.
Hi, welcome to Newsbreak.
Hello, I'm Heather Ross.
And I'm Nathan Wright. Welcome to the spring edition of Newsbreak.
For Newsbreak, I'm Corey Peterson.
Reader camera 1.
Stand by. 10 seconds. Cue talent.
Welcome to Newsbreak. I'm Alex Rasmussen.
Coming up on Newsbreak.
I'm Austin Wolford for Newsbreak.
4, 3, 2, 1. Take it.
Welcome to Newsbreak, the show produced for students by students. I'm Lindsay Wilbur.
And I'm Alex Rasmussen. The university's mascot has a
When you think of the University of Utah, you think of Sugar Bowl and Fiesta Bowl victories, the Runnin' Utes hitting the hardwood, and the U's mascot Swoop getting the crowd excited for another victory. But before 1972, the university was known as the Redskins, and a Native American was used as the mascot. That was changed, though, as it is an ethnic slur and considered offensive by most Native Americans. After that, the U changed its mascot from a cartoon Indian boy named Hoyo to the Crimson Warrior in the 1980s. In 1996, the university got rid of all Native American mascots and went with Swoop, the red-tailed hawk. But even with the change to Swoop, the university is still undergoing discussions on whether or not to change its name and its logo. Matthew Macomena, the director of American Indian Resource Center at the University of Utah, says that the name and logo still have negative effects for Native Americans.
We've had students come here, crying when they had teepees up at the football stadium. They went there thinking it was an ARC event, and they found people drinking, and so that kind of really upset them.
Matthew also says it's more than just a sporting issue, it's a mindset that people create for themselves when you think of Native Americans.
A lot of times when I do talks and conversations, I ask people to close their eyes and picture an American Indian. And so if I ask you to do that, what are you thinking about? Do you see somebody like me, or are you seeing somebody in a headdress and regalia? And so really there's this idea that our culture and the American Indian people is when Columbus arrived type thing, and that as a culture we haven't evolved, and we're not modern day people, but we are still here and we still have those traditions and culture.
As the University of Utah has moved into the Pac-12, the debate of whether or not they should continue to use the drum and feather logo or move to the main Block U is still under discussion. But until the Ute tribe says otherwise, the University of Utah looks to remain the Runnin' Utes with the famous drum and feather logo. For Newsbreak, this is Alex Rasmussen.
Newsbreak to hear from Lindsay Wilbur regarding the ASUU election results.
Have you ever wanted to see your professors and what they looked like when they went to the U? Well, you can, and much more, through the Marriott Library. Gustavo Rodriguez has the story.
The Marriott Library holds a special collection of records throughout the U's history.
We have the University of Utah archives. Now we divide the archives into two different sets. One, published materials, such as yearbooks. And we have yearbooks going clear back to 1905 when they started, and we have them clear up to 1972 when the yearbook ceased to exist. So we have the yearbooks. Then we have the University of Utah's Chronicle, the newspaper, the Daily Chronicle, going clear back to 1892.
Anybody can access the materials in special collections. You just have to call or visit them ahead of time.
And also for the University of Utah's yearbooks, they're online, so they're digitized. People can search them. We save papers that reflect the overall history of the University of Utah, like the presidential papers, the Board of Regents papers.
The special collections have blueprints for the buildings on campus.
We have the University of Utah blueprints, some of them. The planning office keeps a lot of them, but they store them in our archives building, so we are basically the caretaker for those, and we never throw those away. We save every blueprint we have. So we have a lot of blueprints.
Special collections also has films from sports events to performance.
Those are university archives, but they are in this building rather than the record center, and we have a lot of film, particularly football games, basketball games, gymnastics meets. We have a great wealth of film, and we're transferring a lot of that to the newer technologies.
From the 4th floor at the Marriott Library, for Newsbreak, this is Gustavo Rodriguez.
James Baird is a youth student and also a founder of Youth Making a Difference. YMAD is a local nonprofit that prepares high school-age students to provide service to less fortunate kids in destitute countries. Kimmy Rasmussen interviewed James to see how the organization was started.
James, thanks for coming in here today and telling us a little more about YMAD. How did it all get started?
So it started when I was a junior in high school. In 2005, my sister had previously done a service trip to South America, and I wanted to do a similar trip, and my dad was working in India at the time, so I got 20 high school seniors together, and we raised over $100,000 and went and worked in an orphanage, in 5 different orphanages in northern India.
That's awesome. So when you guys decided to go, what was your inspiration, or besides your sister going, what was your reasoning? What did you want to accomplish over there in India?
Well, my dad, like I said, my dad had been working in India, and we'd been exposed to kind of what was going on over there. And there was these little kids in these orphanages who didn't have any help. And, we just knew that they needed something and needed someone. And so they were kind of our inspiration to keep going and to go back.
Right. So what are some of the benefits of being a part of YMAD?
Well, you get to go to cool places, but you get to work with amazing people, and you get to see lives change, and you get to see people rise to an occasion and make a difference in the world.
Right. That all sounds awesome. So how can others get involved?
So right now, we run about 5 different programs, 2 high school programs in the fall, 2 in the spring, and then 1 college expedition during the summers.
So college kids can do it and be involved?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Sounds great. Thanks for coming in, James, and telling us more about YMAD.
Next, Lindsay interviewed some of the candidates for the recent ASUU elections and got the reactions of both parties.
After 2 weeks of campaigning, this morning we're ready to hear the results of this year's ASUU elections.
This year, it's been a really successful year. We've had 17.7% of the student turnout, which is a pretty high number, especially because since 2000, it's been the highest number, other than 2004, which was slightly ahead of us by 112 votes. Both parties were able to get a lot of people out, a lot of support. It's been pretty civil. We're pretty excited about the way that the parties been interacting with each other. Also the debates, we had record turnout. So a lot of things have been, a lot of our campaign styles and things have been really affecting that. So we're pretty excited about seeing what's going to happen.
For the House Party, Kendall Melvin earned the position as next year's senior class president with 54% of the votes, while Nick Ferry and Sam Oritz of the House Party won the election for ASUU president and vice president with 52% of votes. Congratulations on your win. How are you feeling this morning?
I am so excited, not just for me, but for our whole party. I really think, the voting results show what a great effort everybody put in. And so I'm just so thankful for all of the work and the effort and people putting up with our bombardment to vote. So I'm so excited. And thank you.
Ecstatic. Very nervous as to what's to come, and just kind of an emotional wreck right now. I think that most candidates feel with news such as this.
So what's the next step in the process? Do you have preparations to make before the inauguration?
Absolutely. I think our first step that what our campaign and our administration has already done is we've already started looking at the budgets and what needs to be done, because really once you're elected to assume president, you really have to hit the ground running. And so I think that's what we're looking at doing, is filling most of those key director positions.
Candidates from the Peak Party, too, celebrated the new officers from the House Party, even amidst their own loss.
It's really neat to see a really divided Assembly and Senate between the two parties. I think that's something that we've never had before. So I hope this is a new chapter in student government in terms of involvement in that. I really have the utmost confidence for Nick Ferry, Sam Ortiz, and Kendall that they'll really make this university a better place, and that the students will continue to get more involved.
While the primary leadership positions went to candidates from the House Party, seats representing various colleges across the U went to candidates from both sides. And that's it. That's our results for the ASUU's elections this year. Next year, we'll have candidates representing us from both the Peak and the House Party. Reporting for Newsbreak, I'm Lindsay Wilbur. When we return, we'll have more history and campus news, as well as an interview with Alternative Spring Breaks coordinator Chris Fenn. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Newsbreak.
While most of the student body was on spring break, sports was hard at work. Basketball had an impressive run, making it into the semifinals for the Pac-12 tournament. Men's tennis lost to San Diego State and UC Santa Barbara, but beat the UC Irvine. Softball played 8 games in California and Hawaii, winning 4. Baseball won 3 out of 4 games against St. Mary's and then lost 3 games to Cal in their home openers. And gymnastics beat number 2 ranked Florida at home.
Gymnastics has a sellout crowd nearly every meet, and with all eyes on them, Jancy Coggins gives an inside look on what the gymnastics see.
With the high-flying leaps, twists, and flips, gymnastics is a sport of danger and difficulty. And that's what the crowds who pack the Huntsman Center come to see. But have you ever thought about what a gymnast sees? The Utah Red Rocks give us a view from their vantage point.
It's much more terrifying to watch than it is to do it for me. I mean, obviously it does help me when I open up and see the ground before I land, but a lot of times it kind of scares you in the middle of the air and you open your eyes and you see the ceiling. So a lot of times we just go with what we feel, and sometimes if it's a scary one, we'll close our eyes and just hope for the best, but if we see the landing, that's when we know it's going to be the best.
And especially in college gymnastics, where your landings are so critical in terms of your score, that it's almost essential that they've got some sight awareness in the skills. But initially, for some girls who have not really looked around a lot in the middle of their flipping, it's kind of freaky.
Personally, I think it's scarier when you close your eyes, so I don't really see anything till about halfway through the vault, and I look for the landing, and that's when I see it and get ready for it. After you watch yourself, you're like, wow, I get that high, like how in the world do I land that? So
to get that little glimpse of the crowd, it kind of like is little. It gives me a little bit of extra oomph in there.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, especially when you're little, everything's bigger and crazier. So the fact that now we're the ones that the little people are looking up to is just really kind of cool.
It's the best thing. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. Obviously, you do your routines in practice how you want to do it in the meet, but you know, you don't really know what to expect. But to really go out there and hit it every night is just the best feeling.
With Sports for Newsbreak, I'm Jancy Coggins.
Hi, Jancy. So after that upset victory against Florida number 2 at home, what can we expect for the Red Rocks in the postseason?
Well, ahead for the number 7 ranked Utah Utes, they head to the Pac-12 championships in Corvallis, Oregon. And this will be really big for them because they have a chance to avenge their only conference loss of the season. Goodness. They're going in at number 1 seed, and they have a chance to beat number 2 UCLA, which they would really like to do. And they've won the best crowd in the NCAA in all women's sports for 3 out of the 4 last years, with almost 13,500 fans. Oh my gosh. So they truly do have one of the best home crowds. So the test will be on the road, where they have had the most falls and lost the most points on, you know, the certain events. But the Utes they went through a lot of adversity this year, but they fought through it, losing junior All-American Corey Lothrop, who is the defending Pac-12 all-around champion. So this year, they're hoping that Georgia DeBritz can take her spot.
Oh goodness, thank you so much, Jancy. As always, gymnastics team is looking impressive. In other news, men's tennis will be heading to Idaho and participating in the Boise State Invitational. Softball will begin the conference play with 3 games against Cal over the weekend. Men's basketball will also be heading to California to take on Stanford. Track and field will be competing in the Trojan Invitational on Friday and Saturday. And football will be continuing with their spring camp, which opened yesterday, until April 20th, when it will conclude with the annual red and white game. Most people spend their spring break traveling, partying, or not doing anything. Chris Fenn is Alternative Spring Breaks Coordinator with the Benyon Center and has gives students another option for their spring breaks.
Thank you for being here today, Chris.
So what options does the Bennion Center offer students for fall and for spring break?
Well, we'll be expanding into fall for one of the first times. We'll be offering about 5 or 6 trips ranging from Seattle, Portland, Point Reyes, California. We have a new trip to St. George, so there are a lot of options there. Spring break, we'll have the same 9 trips that we offered this year, and we're hoping to have a few new trips that students propose. We're looking at Denver, some other southern locations, keeping it warm, and there'll be some new issues attached to those as well.
So what can students gain by going on these trips rather than going to California and having a good time partying and such?
How often do you take a week off to work with 7 different homeless agencies, everyone from youth homeless organizations, teen homeless organizations, women, men, veterans, medical issues for that population. So it allows you to spend a week in a different city exploring and also making an impact through volunteerism and further learning more about an issue that you may not know as much about or you may be really well versed in and may not have an in-depth opportunity to explore.
Yes, Chris. To learn more about the Bennion Center and the different alternative breaks available, you can go to their website, benioncenter.org, or you can talk to Chris or anyone else at the Bennion Center located on the first floor of the Student Union building. Up next, Sasha Bloom delves into the history of the LGBT Resource Center and how it has grown since its opening.
In 1968, the students at the University of Utah first began to theorize what it is to be lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. Moreover, the students at the U started asking numerous questions. Is it okay to be queer? Is it moral to allow LGBT humans on campus? And if so, should they be allowed to form a student group through ASUU? During the early 1970s, it was socially unacceptable to be out of the closet. So the students of the U, who were LGBT, often had a very difficult time socializing with the straight society. Because of the stigmatization of being queer, those LGBT students decided that it was imperative that they have a place on campus that was inclusive and hate-free. The current director of the LGBT Resource Center, Kai Martinez, said,
In 1974, the first established LGBT student group came into existence. Those early days, 1970s, 80s, probably up into the first part of the 90s, not so much so, but they used to meet in undisclosed locations on campus that they weren't listed in any sort of directory. It was just that this group meets, call this number, and then you would be given the location of where this group meets. And so that was primarily because of anonymity, confidentiality, and safety reasons.
In the last 10 years, the LGBT Resource Center has become a paramount fixture at the U. The student organization has also received national recognition for propagating the U into a top 25 campus pride ranking for creating a society free of anti-LGBT bias, bigotry, and hate. Kai Martinez said,
40 years later, we kind of come that we are a campus that is considered to be LGBT inclusive. Yes, the fact that we have a thriving resource center, we have policies and procedures that include, protections and access is very, very important, and it's central to the mission of this university.
For Newsbreak, I'm Sasha Bloom.
I have to apologize. I said that basketball was heading to California this weekend. That's baseball that will be competing in California this weekend. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. I apologize.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak tonight. I'm Alex Rasmussen.
And I'm Lindsay Wilbur. Oh, it was wonderful.